And one more thing, I have to edit this video. That is what is actually bothering me, because I have like lots of unstructured video clips that I've recorded. I have no idea how I'm going to edit them. Alright, so I decided I should make a Twitter bot because I really don't have anything interesting to do at this moment. And it's been many days since I actually wrote code, to be honest. So I just wanted to like code something. And I actually recently created a Twitter bot, my first ever Twitter bot. And basically what it does is it monitors a YouTube channel and it tweets out if any of those videos of that particular channel has been removed due to copyright strikes or community guideline strikes. So that's something I've written to kill some time. So I wanted to write another Twitter bot, but this time I wanted to make it useful for a wider user base. You know what I mean? I want to build something useful that many people can use, and it's actually very useful for them as well. So I brainstormed for literally one whole day and I came up with a lot of project ideas for Twitter bots, and like 95% of these project ideas already exist. The Twitter bots for these projects already exist, but there's this one idea which I kind of like decided to go ahead with because as far as my research is concerned, I don't think there is a Twitter bot that has this functionality, this particular project idea. So I thought that I should go ahead and actually implement it. So here's the project. I wanted to build a Twitter bot that will be able to tell if a particular website is a real website or if it's a scam or fake website. So a user can basically tweet a website URL by mentioning my bot, and my bot will analyze that website and it will, comment under that tweet saying whether the website is a real website or if it's a scam website. And if it's a scam website, how it came to that decision that it's a scam website. And I don't have anything more than a general concept at this moment of time. And I also thought I should make a video because obviously he wouldn't want content, right? So I'm going to basically record myself coding this project all along. Before going any further, I'd like to thank the sponsors of this video. This video is sponsored by appmysite.com. Now, let's say you have a website and you want to convert it into a mobile application for both Android and iOS. Using AppMySite, you can do that in 10 minutes without any coding. That's right. I know it's too good to be true. You basically just give your website's URL and AppMySite will automatically generate a native mobile application for your website for both Android and iOS. And obviously you can customize your app all you want. For example, you can customize its app icon, you can customize the user interface, you can customize the dashboard, the headers, the footers, etc. And you know what? The coolest thing is that you can do all of this for free of cost. You build your app and then you also get to preview it on your own smartphone. And only if you like it, only if you think that your app turned out to be great, you can upgrade to a premium version in order to download the APK or IPA files, depending upon whether you want an Android app or an iOS app. AppMySite also gives you an option to publish your app directly to App Store. So you want to make money from your app? No problem. You can even monetize your app with Google AdMob from within AppMySite dashboard itself. You can also integrate with services like Firebase, Google Analytics to add additional functionality to your app. And you can even introduce a chat system in your app so that your app users can directly chat with you. And of course, all the maintenance that is required to keep your app up and running is done by appmysite.com. You don't have to do a thing. And I'll tell you what, this is actually the cheapest and the most effortless way that is available to convert your website into a mobile application. So go ahead and give AppMySite a try. As I already said, you can start for absolutely free of cost. You can build your app for absolutely free of cost and also preview it for free. So find the link in the description below. And also if you want a full tutorial on how to use AppMySite, I've already made a video on that, the link to which you will also find in the description below. So go check it out. Okay, so to actually distinguish between a scam and a real website, you follow some rules, some rule set. So I've written some rules, as you could see. So these are the checks that we can do to check or distinguish if it is a fake website / scam website or a real website. So first of all, we can check the actual domain name of the website. The first 3 steps are actually nothing but checking the domain name. We can, for example, check the domain name for famous websites or famous services. For example, if let's say there's Amazon, okay? So it is very common for scammers to register domains that look like they're official domains, but they're actually not. There would be some spelling mistakes, some typo errors in the domains intentionally, so that they look kind of like, they almost look like they're official websites, but they're really not. So for example, let's say there's a website like Amazon.net, something like that, but instead of this O here, they can replace it with 0. Now it looks like Amazon. If you don't, pay much attention to it, you may actually think that it is an official domain of Amazon, but it's not. So in this way, they can actually try to spoof a domain name and create something that looks like an official domain. And then we can also check for excessive hyphens. Now, hyphens are the only special characters that are allowed in domain names. So usually, if it's like a good website, like a reputed website, big one, which can be trusted, they don't usually contain a hyphen in the domain name. But I don't know, there might exist some real websites that have hyphens. We're going to check if there are, let's say, more than 2 hyphens in a domain name. Because if it does have more than 2 hyphens in its domain name, it's probably not very reputed website. And then we can check the domain TLDs. The most trusted, the most official TLD, as all of us know, is .com. So there are like thousands of TLDs available. But some of those TLDs are actually very less trustable, and they are more likely purchased by the scammers, registered by the scammers to host their fake websites. Because of different reasons, because different TLDs have different set of rules to register, right? So some TLDs, the rules might not be as strict. So that means a scammer can easily register as many domains as they want, and they can use them to host websites. Some of those TLDs which are not very trustable are .biz, .info, .online, etc. And then this is an important check. We can Google the domain name. We can perform an actual Google search with the domain name, and we can analyze the search results. Google, as we know, is like the largest index of web pages on the internet. So it is very, very, very highly likely that if it's actually of a legitimate website, it would be most probably indexed on Google. So if we were not able to find that domain name as a search result for our Google search, it is probably not a legitimate thing. It's probably a very new thing that's very new to the internet. That's not the only thing. We can also actually go through the search results, and we can analyze the search results, and we can kind of get an idea of what those search results are saying, right? I mean, let me show you an example, right? Let me Google something. So I'm going to search this one website, which I already know is a scam, and I've already made a video on it. So it goes like fruitdeal.in. That is the domain name. So I'm going to search this, and let's see the search results. So you can see that by looking at the search results, we can kind of tell that this website is not legitimate. You can see that the rating is just 1 star. You can see fruitdeal.in website review. Is it real or fake? So you get the point. We can basically analyze the search titles, the search metadata, and we can see, we can look for words like fake, scam, real, etc., all that stuff, all that kind of stuff, and we can come to a conclusion, or not a conclusion, but we can make an educated guess, basically, whether the website is actually real or fake. Okay, and then we can also check for bad grammar in the site content. It turns out that most scammers are not really good at grammar, so we can take that as an advantage, if you ask me. So we can basically crawl through the web pages of the website in question, and we can check if the content inside that web page has proper grammar or not. So we can also check for plagiarism, because the scammers might just copy stuff from other websites to their websites. And then we can check the whois data. This is all actually one of the most appropriate steps or checks to decide if a website is scam or real. Because if you look at the whois data, you can get to know the age of that particular domain name, when that domain name is registered. So if the domain name is very new, it is most probably a scam. For example, let's say this domain name is like 2 or 3 weeks old. Then it's most probably a scam. It's a fake website, which is probably only rented from the domain registrar just to run this scam. And another thing that makes the age of the website a very critical thing in deciding whether it's a scam or not is because these scam websites are eventually going to be blocked by the domain provider or the hosting provider or whoever it is. So that's another thing that we can take advantage of. We can actually check the age of the domain and we can basically figure out whether that website is real. And then we can check the contact page. Most scam websites, if you ask me, don't have a proper contact page for obvious reasons because they're fake. And yeah, if you check the contact page, you can, I don't know, maybe we can just analyze the details in their contact page. For example, we can get their email address from their contact page and we can see if that email address actually exists, something like that. And then we can also check for like the physical address, the location of that business, check if it's valid or not. That's what I'm thinking right now, but that might make our task a little more complicated to actually validate stuff on the contact page. But we'll see as we move on. And finally, we can check the social media presence of that particular website. So these are all the checks I've written. For now, like the initial brainstorm gave me these checks. And obviously we might like get some more ideas and I'll keep adding to this list whenever I get some ideas. But for now, we're going to start coding based on these rules. So our objective is to take a URL of a website as an input and then run all these checks. And based on all these checks, we can basically tell or make an educated guess whether that particular website that is given to us as input is scam or real, right? So that is the whole concept, whole objective of this. And also the Twitter integration part. We're obviously trying to build a Twitter bot. So we want to integrate with Twitter to make tweets and reply to tweets, all that stuff. So that part is actually very easy. That's the easiest part in this whole project because we have already Twitter API wrappers like Tweepy, which we can use in Python. And yeah, it's just a matter of making some function calls within your code to, integrate with the Twitter API. So it's not that big of a deal. But the most important thing or a little bit tricky part would be to actually check if a given website is scam or not. Integrating with the Twitter is actually the easier thing here. Yeah, I guess let's go ahead and get started. Let's see what we can do. Let's start with the code. Okay, so the first check obviously requires me to have a list of all the famous service names or the famous websites, So then I found out this particular website that basically lists down all the top 500 websites on the internet like this. This is a link that offers to download the top 500 domains as a CSV. So I can just download it as a CSV and save it there and make my Python program use it. Okay, so let me go ahead and write the logic to actually do that. Okay, so I wrote 3 functions for these first 3 checks. To check the website for famous service names, and then to check the website for excessive hyphens, and finally to check the domain for suspicious or less trusted TLDs. So let me test that. And one thing you might also notice, the domain, I'm actually passing it as a dictionary with the 2 attributes, name and the TLD. So I just thought that it would be like more convenient for me to treat that domain, the input domain name or the input website as a dictionary. Anyway, let me test that. Let me run that. You can see for the first check, which is checking for the famous service names, it triggered the TLD difference. The input I'm passing for that function is amazon.biz, which is obviously a suspicious website because the .biz is not an official Amazon domain. So it triggered the TLD difference. It triggered that there is a TLD difference for that famous service name. And also I'm keeping count of something known as a suspicious score, and I'm basically incrementing it for every check with some certain value. I did not decide upon how much I have to increment for each particular check. We will decide that later. But yeah, that's the idea. I want to like hold a suspicious score and keep incrementing it based on these checks. So there are two options for us to do the Google search. The first one is to use an official API, and the second one is to do web scraping. I've done web scraping before, and let me tell you, it's not reliable. It works for the first like 100 to 200 searches, but after that your IP is going to get blocked by Google unless you solve a CAPTCHA, which our bot is not going to solve, because that's the whole point of CAPTCHA, so that the bots will not be able to bypass it. I mean, it's just not reliable. So the only option we have left is to actually use an official way that is provided by Google. So I was searching the internet if Google offers any API to use its search, and then I found this programmable search engine. So apparently you can create your own custom search engine with Google, and you can give API calls to your custom search engine and get the responses. But there's a limitation. Obviously, when it comes to official APIs, there are going to be quota restrictions. And here are the quota restrictions for this thing. So we want to go for the custom search JSON API, which has like a daily query limit of 10,000 queries per day. And it turns out that the first 500 requests to this API, to this search API, will be for free of cost. But from then on, it's $5 per 1,000 queries. Well, yeah, whatever. Like it's not like we are going to pay it right now. We're just developing it. Never done this before, so I have to do some like research, some learning myself to get this working. So let me do that. So I'm done with writing all the programmatic checks for the bot. And the next thing to do is to obviously integrate it with Twitter API. Take the input from Twitter via a tweet and then process that input, perform all the checks that I've written and come up with a decision, and finally print that output or tweet that output as a comment to the original tweet. So that's what we have to do. And this is how we're going to do it. All right, so first I'm going to write something that I call as a listener. And basically this is a Python program that will, listen for tweets that have our bot mentioned. For example, let's say that someone tweets by mentioning our bot, some tweet, but they also mention our bot. So this tweet will be caught by our listener that we're going to write. And what our listener is going to do is it's going to gather the tweet. And once it gathers the tweet, we have to extract the input. In other words, we have to extract the URL of the website to analyze. So we're going to extract the URL. And once we extract the URL, the next step is obvious: to perform the checks. And then finally, what it's going to do is it's going to comment on the original tweet with the scan result. So yeah, that's it. That's what we're going to do. And also one more thing is that we also want to save all our scanned data into a database. So we'll also include a database here. So for every website that is given to our bot as input, and for every scan that we do, we are also going to push all that details into the database so that we have a repository of all the scanned websites. And we also have like the output of the scan, that is whether a particular website that is given as input is a scam or a real website based on our checks that we wrote. So in that way, we can have a repository. And also if someone gives a same URL that you have already scanned, we don't have to perform all these steps again. Instead, we can just query the database and we can see if we have already performed a scan for that particular URL. And if the scan is already done, we can just get the details from this database without doing all the checks again. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And also, I already said that I have written a Twitter bot before. So I've already written the Twitter integration code for my bot. So I'm just going to reuse that code base of the other bot instead of writing from scratch, because that would make it easier for me. So yeah, I'm basically going to use an API called Tweepy, which is like a wrapper for the official Twitter API. And I already have a Twitter developer account. I think I have to create a new account now. And I think the process is to create a new Twitter account, name it, give it the appropriate username, and then I have to enable the developer mode for that. And once I've enabled the developer mode, I'll be getting like a key or something that I can use in my API request to the Twitter API. And I can do all this by using Tweepy Python module, which makes it like a lot easier if you ask me. And obviously once all this is done, once all the Twitter integration is done, I'm going to deploy it to cloud. I'm thinking to deploy it to AWS because I've been working on it lately. So yeah, probably I'll deploy it to AWS, or if not, I'll deploy it to Google Cloud. But let's see. Twitter integration coming right up in 3, 2, 1. All right, so I've made some progress. I've integrated with the Twitter API. I created the listener that will listen for the mentioned tweets for the bot. And then I've also written the functionality to perform these checks in a specific order. And then I'm also keeping a note of the checks that I performed and the results of those checks in a dictionary called checks, so that once all the checks are made, we can come to the decision and we can basically tweet out the decision. There's still some more things that are left to do. For example, I have to integrate the database, and I also have to add some error handling, because obviously since we are dealing with many kind of things here, errors might occur, and if an error occurs that is not caught, then it's going to just terminate the program right in there. But we don't want that, so I'm going to add all those error handling things as well. And also I have implemented a logging feature also, which will basically log stuff to a log file so that I can see what's happening. I can see the errors, if any, and all that stuff. Okay, so I am finally done, and let's do our first test. Let's see if our bot is able to scan a website. Let me scan my own website first, and let's see what my bot thinks, whether my website is fake or real. Now let me go to my Twitter dashboard and let me post a link. I'll first mention my bot, which is it just a scam? There you go. This is my bot. And I'll just give my website URL. Okay. Fingers crossed. Let's see if it works. Tweet. Let's see now. Okay, it's in round 1 and performing checks for http www.techraj146.com, which means it's able to successfully retrieve the website URL from the tweet, which is a good thing. That's step 1. So let's actually look at our logs to see closely what's happening. Okay, so it's processing the tweet, extracted the URL, performing the checks. There you go. These are all the logs for actually performing the checks. And finally, it said tweet posted. There you go. That is our bot responding to our input. Scan results for http www.techraj146.com. Obviously, I am replacing dot with 2 braces like this because I don't want to actually include the actual URL in the tweet for obvious reasons. So it says site looks safe. That's a relief, I guess. So my bot does think that my site is safe, is real. And yeah, it also says, but remember, if you feel something is too good to be true, it is probably just a scam. That is a universal statement, universal truth. So you have to always remember that. So I think now I will just go ahead and try to find out an actual scam website and test it with my bot. Okay, so I found this database which has a list of scam websites, and it also shows the status, whether they're active or dead. So I can perform the checks on my bot by taking some of these URLs as inputs. So let's see. Let's go to this one, royalbreederhome.com. So it is listed here that it is a scam website. Let's actually check that out first. Okay, it looks like some kind of breeding scam, dog breeding scam or pet breeding scam, something like that. I don't know, but since this is mentioned as scam in this website, let me go ahead and test this out. So I'm going to copy this URL and I'm going to tweet by mentioning my bot. And let's see. Okay, looks like we got a response from the bot. Let's check it out. Oh, look at that. It says that the site is indeed scam. And the reasons it gave us is that the site is very young, which is 6 days old, and the Google search results are sus. So based on these 2 reasons, it was able to tell that this site is indeed a scam website. Cool, that's awesome. So I checked for both a real website and a scam website, and my bot worked as expected. And obviously I will keep testing the bot to make it as perfect as possible, as efficient as possible. So yeah, I guess now it's time to actually deploy it to the cloud. So then I created an EC2 instance on AWS, which is basically a way of creating a virtual computer on the cloud. And I imported all my source code into my instance. And then I configured some stuff, like I installed the MySQL server, created the database, granted the necessary privileges to it, installed all the requirements for my project with pip, and finally I execute my bot using NoHub, so that even though if I log out from my SSH console, my bot will keep running in the background, which is exactly what we want. We want our script or our bot to keep running forever, 24/7. I mean, yeah, that'll do it. That's all about deploying the bot to the cloud. Now my bot is running on the cloud and it will respond to all the tweets where it is mentioned. Now, if you want to learn more about AWS, how to use it, how to deploy stuff, etc., you can check out the playlist that I made on AWS. I'll leave the link in the description below. So yeah, I guess that's it. That will be it for this video. I hope you learned something new. Also, do tell me in the comment section if you want me to make this project as open source, because I do understand making this project open source comes with a lot of positive things. Like, people can actually contribute new checks to the project, new ideas, new features, etc., to make this bot as efficient as possible when it comes to recognizing a website as scam or not. So yeah, let me know in the comment section. If majority of you want me to make it open source, I will definitely make it open source. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you did like this video, please do not forget to leave a thumbs up below. Editing this video has been really exhausting because I had to convert approximately 13 hours of footage into 30 minutes, which is crazy if you ask me. So yeah, please leave a thumbs up below and also do comment in the comment section. If you're not yet a subscriber, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and also turn on the bell icon to receive instant updates from my channel. So thanks for watching again. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, cheers.